What up, everybody? This is your boy Dedrian Colon from House of Rasslin, and this is my review for the June 2nd episode of Impact Wrestling. Yes, we're in June. We are halfway through the year already. Like, share, comment, subscribe, follow House of Wrestling on all social media platforms. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Man, tonight's Impact Wrestling episode, I've been saying it about the women's division in Impact Wrestling, but now I do have to admit, I have to say it regarding Impact Wrestling's overall product. It is by far probably the most consistent and quite possibly the wrestling company that utilizes their talent the most. I know, of course, with AEW, they have, a big roster. WWE has a big roster, but I really do think that Impact Wrestling utilizes their women's division very good and utilizes the rest of their roster very good on their show. And it's not a shot at WWE or AEW. It's just how it comes across, how it's projected, and also how the show just feels overall. Like, just how you just feel like you're experiencing something that's entertaining, intriguing, and when it's over, you're like, man, I can't wait for next week. I can't wait for the next pay-per-view. I'm just really like, man, I'm really interested in it. But man, tonight was no exception. This was a fun show for me, and I say that every week. Maybe because, of course, this week was AEW's Double or Nothing, which that was a very long pay-per-view, to say the least. Then, of course, Memorial Day was Monday, and you had Monday Night Raw and NXT, and maybe it's because there was just so much wrestling this past week. Of course, yesterday's AEW Dynamite, that I don't know. It's just Impact Wrestling. When you watch it, it's like I've always said, it's a complimentary alternative to the other wrestling promotions, and it almost feels like when you watch Impact Wrestling, you're kind of taking a break from like WWE and AEW. And again, this is not a shot at them, but it just feels like you're taking a break, and it's just refreshing. And this episode, man, it lived up to it. And there's a lot of questions, good questions leading up to Slammiversary, which I believe they said was like 2 weeks, which I'm looking forward to it. The first match was Mia Yim versus Savannah Evans. This was a solid match. I like that they started off the night with a women's match. You see that in WWE. You have yet to see that in AEW. But Mia Yim, recently returned to Impact Wrestling, facing Savannah Evans. Savannah Evans, man, that woman has a lot of potential. When they pull the trigger as far as, hey, we want to push you, man, that's going to be something special. Because, man, she's got some work, man. She's got a presence. She's got an attitude. She's got it, man. It's just, we'll when we see it, we're going to be like, man, this is really cool. But this was a really good match. With this match, you're going to have the size versus speed and the technical side of that Mia Yim possesses, as opposite to Savannah Evans. But man, this was a really good opening match, solid match. Of course, like I've said, Impact Wrestling quite possibly does have the best women's division in all of professional wrestling, and the most utilized women's division in all of professional wrestling, and the most consistent women's division in all of professional wrestling. And this match did not disappoint. There was a cool fisherman suplex, aka perfect plex, by Savannah Evans that she performed on Mia Yim, which is like really cool. Mia Yim kicked out. Then eventually you had Mia Yim picking up the win, but you had Tasha Steelz interfering, and then you had Jordynne Grace preventing her, and then big melee, and they separated. Jordynne Grace gets in the ring and tells Mia Yim, hey, they tried to distract, this. Just adding more to that Queen of the Mountain match, which is Mia Yim, Jordynne Grace, Tasha Steelz, Deonna Purrazzo, and Oh my God, I'm forgetting someone. Chelsea Green. There you go. Just adding, man, this is so good. It's not the most like elaborate, like oh my God, we got to create this elaborate story to get us to Slammiversary. It's the little things. You got, was it 6 women in the match? Forgive me, guys. But you have, 5 women in the match, and each week there's a story that's being added to this match where you're really questioning, like, who the hell's really going to win? Like, you don't know who's going to win this Queen of the Mountain match at Slammiversary. And they just keep adding elements to it that you're just like, okay, Tasha Steelz could win it, but then Mia Yim could win it. But then Jordan Grace could win it. But then Chelsea Green could win it. Or Deonna Purrazzo could win it. Like, it could go either way, and that's such good booking going into Slammiversary, especially for the women's division. And that match, love it. Then we get a backstage segment with Eddie Edwards. He's basically taunting Shark Boy and Chris Harris. Then we get another backstage segment with Tenille Dashwood and Madison Rayne with Rosemary. And they're kind of like, I wouldn't say mocking, but just like, you could say kind of teasing, like, oh, well, it looks like you're down, looks like you could get a pick-me-up, and so on and so on. And she just replies, I'm just going to bite off your face. And then you get Black Taurus and Crazy Stevie come in, and they, Tenille Dashwood and Madison Rayne walk away, and that's pretty much it. Then we get, and this was, I wouldn't say the match of the night, but it's close enough. This was a solid match. You had Kenny King versus Blake Christian, and the stipulation was if Kenny King lost this match, then Blake Christian would replace him in the Ultimate X match, which was very interesting with the developments that happened last week. This was no different. I like this match. I'm familiar with Blake Christensen's work in NXT when he was Trey Baxter, I believe that was. Yeah, that was his name in NXT. This was a really good match. I recommend you guys watch this match. The stuff that Blake Christian was doing, this was a good one. This was a good match. I recommend it. His speed, the way he was attacking Kenny King, the guy's quick and he's got some move. Man, there is a roll-up that he did to Kenny King. It was almost like it was a roll-up / submission hold pin. If that's how, just watch the match and you'll see, man, it was a fantastic move. There was a point in the match where Blake Christian, he did there was a second move that he did. Kenny King was hanging over the rope, like he was half his body, he was hanging there, and Blake Christian did a kind like a small variation of a frog splash onto Kenny King while he was on a rope. I was like, man, that's insane. That's why I said recommend you watch this match, man. This is really good. Blake Christian really did his thing in this match, but in the end, Kenny King performed his finishing move, 1, 2, 3. Kenny King retains his spot in the Ultimate X match at Slammiversary. This was a dope match. Trey Miguel being on commentary, that was fun. I'm glad that they're showcasing more of his personality as he's doing commentary and just backstage. He's got a ton of potential, man. I've said it before on several reviews. I can't wait till they elevate Trey Miguel into the main event picture. I think it's about time that some of those X Division guys, along with Trey Miguel, Ace Austin, Mike Bailey. Well, Mike Bailey maybe too soon, but definitely Ace Austin and Trey Miguel being elevated to the world title scene, because I think the world title scene does need that type of wrestler in there to just tell a different story than what's been told for a couple years now to just give something fresh. Then we get an announcement of another participant in the Ultimate X match, and it was so cool seeing their highlights from. Forgive me, guys. Man, I got something in my eye. All right. It was so cool seeing this wrestler's highlights from AEW. I was just like, wow, this is okay. This is cool. Like all these AEW highlights. Yes, Jack Evans. Yes, Jack Evans from what was it? No, not 2.0. Damn it, Angelico. What was their name? I can't remember their name. I know they were on Dark and everything. They were a really good tag team. But yeah, Jack Evans, he will be in the Ultimate X match. That is going to be fun. I've seen a lot of his stuff from other places that he's wrestled at. That's going to be fun with those competitors. Trey Miguel, Mike Bailey. I believe Ace Austin is in the match. I think so. Forgive me, guys. It's been a long week. Covering that Double or Nothing pay-per-view scrambled my brains a little bit. Not in a bad way, but in a good way. But no, seeing Jack Evans in that Ultimate X match, man, and see him showcase, that's going to be fun to see. That's going to be a treasure to see, and that's going to be a match that you're going to want to see. Then we get a backstage segment with W. Morrissey and Gujar. Gujar is thanking him, and Morrissey's like, there's nothing wrong with someone having your back. And as he says that, he looks to his right, and you got PCO with chains slamming, I believe, like some stage case that they use, and he's slamming, and he looks back. Morrissey looks back at Gujar, and he just shakes his head, and Gujar leaves, and they go to commercial. Then we get a match between Matthew Rayholt. Yes, Matthew Rayholt, the commentator on Impact Wrestling, versus Rich Swann. This was close to being a squash match, but he got whooped. Yeah, he got whooped. There was, of course, Drama King chants in the crowd. He was talking a lot in this match, Matthew Rayholt, and Rick Swann just beat the hell out of him. Like, he just beat the hell out of him, pinned him 1, 2, 3. Rick Swann wins, and it was funny because Matthew Rayholt, I believe he went back to commentary or something, but it was stupid, man. That was funny. He's just talking smack in the crowd. That's the other thing about this episode. Watch this episode and listen to the crowd, because there were some things that they were saying that I caught, like, you watch something, you just kept like, what did they just say? And man, it's some funny stuff, man. Just check it out. Then we had Alicia Edwards. She received they showed a recap earlier in the night of before their pre-show, and she received a yellow envelope from Masha Slamovich in the ring. She gave it to her, and so now they're interviewing Alicia Edwards. Hey, what did you think of, what did Masha Slamovich give you in the envelope? She opens it up, and it's a picture of her with a red X over it. And Giselle Shaw is like, oh, I know what she means. She's, you're pretty, you're this. And actually, seriously, Masha's going to kill you. And just walks away. That was pretty funny, but I'm looking forward to that. Masha Slamovich, hopefully in the next 2 months after Slammiversary, they insert her into that Knockouts championship picture, because she's been undefeated for several months now. Like, she's just been having squash matches after squash matches, and like crazy. And she just recently beat Havoc, so like she's in line for being in the world title picture in the Knockouts division. Then we get a promo from the Good Brothers. These freaking dudes are hilarious and stupid, man. This was some dumb shit. Dumb shit in a good way, not dumb shit like, oh, this is corny and everything. No, this was funny. So the Good Brothers, they come out and they're saying, yeah, we got a PSA, and they're going on their accolades and, the places they've wrestled and the arenas they wrestled in. And the Good Brothers like, you know what? We're going to show the top 10 things that we've done in Impact since we've signed here. So they go through 10, they go through 9, they go through 8. Once they get to 7, it's beating the Briscoes. Number 6, beating the Briscoes at multiverse matches. Number 5 is beating the Briscoes at the multiverse matches. Number 4, beating the Briscoes at the multiverse matches. Number 3, beating the Briscoes at the multiverse matches. Number 2, beating the Briscoes at the multiverse matches. And before they could get to 1, the Briscoes come out. They call them soft and pampered. We're always on the grind. You guys can't handle it. You're not on our level. Now, mind you, these two teams are going to face each other at Slammiversary. I'm looking forward to that tag team match. Ever since the Good Brothers have rejoined Bullet Club, that has been a shot in the arm to them and their careers and their just their presentation. Like, it's just breathed fresh life into them, where it's just like, oh man, they're right where they need to be. So before they get to 1, again, the Briscoes come out, and Carl Anderson's like, you know what? Before you stepped on our toes and interrupted us, we wanted to show the number 1 highlight that we've done here in Impact Wrestling. Beat the Briscoes at multiverse matches. And after they say that, there's just a big brawl between the Good Brothers and the Briscoes. They're just brawling each other, and they're about to hit Carl Anderson. Doc Gallows pulls Carl Anderson out, so they stare each other down. So it's a nice, subtle build to Slammiversary between the Briscoes and the Good Brothers. I'm looking forward to that match. Was it June 19th? So it's actually the Sunday before Forbidden Door. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that was funny. It wasn't corny. It was, for me personally watching it, when I got to 10 and 9, I was like, okay. And they were actually showing highlights. One was their debut. Then when they won the tag titles, was it then when they won their first match? There was another match. But once they got to 7, I was like, man, this is freaking stupid. Like, this is dumb. But it was hilarious. Then we got a backstage segment with Josh Alexander. He's telling Scott D'Amore, there's no time. Actually, no, he wasn't with Scott D'Amore. He was being interviewed. Forgive me for that. So he was being interviewed, and he's like, he's telling the interviewer, there's no time to be concerned. I'm ready for it. So as he's saying this, you have Cody Deaner walks in. Mind you, they're in the interview space that they do the backstage segments at. So Cody Deaner walks in. Joe Doran walks in. Then behind Josh Alexander is Eric Young. And they're snickering, and before you know it, they just beat the hell out of Josh Alexander. Like, they're beating the hell out of him. And, Eric Young is saying his stuff like, hey, I'm going to take your title. So they beat him down. They go to commercial. They come back. We get Josh Alexander with Scott D'Amore. And Josh Alexander is basically telling Scott D'Amore, hey, I want a match with Joe Doran next week. And Scott D'Amore's like, what are you talking about? Like, why do you want a match with him when you have a match with Eric Young like 2 weeks from now? Like, that doesn't make sense. Why would you want that? So they went on and on about that. I love that match. If it happens next week, if it doesn't happen, I love that match. Then we get a match between Matt Taven, Mike Bennett, Rhino, and Heath Slater. This was a solid, the work that Mike Bennett and Matt Taven have been doing in Impact Wrestling as a tag team. It's been cool. It has been cool. It has been fun. It's been entertaining. They're another tag team that right now they're in the Honor No More, feuds and stuff like that. But I do feel like they could quite possibly have a future Impact Wrestling title run. They're one of those solid teams that, you have the Good Brothers, you got the Briscoes, you can throw in the Motor City Machine Guns. And then you have Matt Taven and Mike Bennett. So you got 4 solid tag teams that could really do something there. But this match was solid. It was simple. It wasn't overkill. It wasn't too long. Heath Sailor and Rhino, they're going to give you a solid match. Of course, Rhino isn't going to give you a match that he had 20 years ago when he was a freaking beast in ECW and when he arrived in WWF. But no, this was a solid match. It was back and forth. Of course, Taven and Mike Bennett cut off the ring and worked on Rhino and Heath Slater. Then eventually, Matt Taven hit the climax on... is that his finishing move's name? Because I heard commentary say that, like, oh, Matt Taven's... he hit the climax on Rhino. I was like, huh? All right, whatever. So Matt Taven hits his finishing move on Rhino. 1, 2, 3. Matt Taven and Mike Bennett win. Then all of Honor No More comes in. They attack Rhino. They put his leg through a chair. They stomp on the chair. They hit. They get another chair and hit his leg that's in a chair. He's agonizing pain. And then you had the Motor City Machine Guns and Frankie Kazarian come in and make the save. Go to commercial. We come back. Rhino is being put in an ambulance. He's got his leg wrapped up. Frankie Kazarian, the Motor City Machine Guns, and Scott D'Amore are there. And Frankie Kazarian's like, hey, what the hell's going on here? Like, they keep beating up people. Like, what the hell are you going to do? And he's like, I know they're doing this. We're all originals and we need something. So this is where things get even more interesting heading into Slammiversary. And I like that they build to these surprises. I love that. I know a lot of people, AEW does too many surprises. Surprises is what makes wrestling fun. If there's no surprises, it's the same thing. Kind of been doing it for 20 years. Just saying. So Scott D'Amore tells him, you know what? Kenny King has a match. So Matt Taven, Eddie Edwards, Mike Bennett, and Vincent. I believe that's 4 or 5. And PCO, I think. I don't know. So the five members in Honor No More will face the Motor City Machine Guns and Frankie Kazarian. And here's where Scott D'Amore really added some salt to this match leading into Slammiversary. He's like, we're all originals in TNA. Find 2 guys that used to work in TNA, started in TNA, what have you, that have been here from the beginning, fought for us. They'll be on your team. So we got Honor No More versus Frankie Kazarian, the Motor City Machine Guns, and 2 guys that may have history with Impact Wrestling. That's going to be fun and interesting. Right now that I'm thinking about it, it could be James Storm, and I'm trying to think of the other person that it could be. I know James Storm is one. Not Jeff Jarrett. He's in WWF. I don't know. We'll see. James Storm is one, but we'll see. I love that, adding that match to Slammiversary and then adding just who are the 2 guys, pick 2 guys and they'll be on your team. So I'm looking forward to that one. Then we get Moose and Steve Macklin versus W. Morrissey and PCO. This match, I'm not going to say it was bad. It wasn't bad. It was interesting because it set up what happened at the end. So there was a point in the match where you had Moose and W. Morrissey just trading chops. Like, they were chopping the hell out of each other. Just pop, pop, pop. Like damn. You had that. You had PCO do the animator on Steve Macklin. There was a point where there's not a match where PCO will not do some type of dive through the ropes, off the top turnbuckle, onto a table. He's going to dive. So he dove through the middle ring ropes. But in the end, Macklin did his pin WD Morrissey for the pin. 1, 2, 3. Macklin and Moose win. Post match, PCO and Macklin, they're brawling. Then Moose, he spears PCO, and before you know it, lights go out. Lights come back on. It's Sami Callihan with a baseball bat. Moose is looking to spear Sami Callihan. Sami Callihan hits him with the bat as he's attempting to spear. That's how Impact Wrestling finished. This was a fun Impact Wrestling. Like just think of what they did in this episode. You have the anticipation of 2 former Impact Wrestling wrestlers being in a match with Frankie Kazarian, the Motor City Machine Guns, against Honor No More. You have the Good Brothers and the Briscoes heading into Slammiversary. You have Masha Slamovich and possibly Alicia Edwards at Slammiversary, maybe or probably next week. I don't know, but hopefully that's something that leads to Slammiversary. You got Jack Evans being added to the Ultimate X match. This is it's just looking at this list, like this isn't something that's, just, it's whatever. It's like they keep adding little things that in the end makes the whole overall picture heading towards Slammiversary very attractive and very intriguing. Like, man, I really want to see this pay-per-view. I want to see who the 2 guys are. I want to see how Moose and Slammy Callahan's going to be. I want to see if Josh Alexander's actually going to retain the title against Eric Young, knowing that you got Cody Deaner and Joe Doring there. I want to see what's going to happen with the Queen of the Mountain match. Who's really going to win this match? Hats off to Impact Wrestling, man. This was a solid episode. I liked it. I enjoyed it. Again, more questions. And I probably mentioned this on other reviews. Like, the best thing that a wrestling company can do is leave you with the what questions, and not so much what were they thinking. More, man, what's gonna happen? Like, man, who like what and who? Like, man, who's the 2 guys? Like, man, who's gonna win this match with the knockouts of it? Like, who? Like, what? Really cool, and it's cool that it's happening the week before the Forbidden Door. That's going to be dope. So, looking forward to it. But yeah, this was my review for Impact Wrestling on June 2nd. Yes, June 2nd. Man, this was a fun episode, man. But for me, I'm really looking forward to knowing who the 2 men are and who's going to win that Queen of the Mountain match. That's got me intrigued, and just seeing what Jack Evans is going to do at the Ultimate X match, man, because that's going to be pretty interesting. But yes, Slammiversary is looking to be a very intriguing pay-per-view that I wouldn't be surprised if there's 1 or 2 shocking things that happen on that pay-per-view. And it's just like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. So hopefully it lives up to it. So again, that is my review for the June 2nd episode of Impact Wrestling. Like, share, comment, subscribe, follow House of Wrestling on all social media platforms. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. And like I always say, there's a lot of serious stuff going on in the world. Just enjoy wrestling. Stop fighting over it, man. Let's just escape into this entertainment avenue that they're providing for us and just have fun. With that,